You know, I like big hands, and I cannot lie. The dumbest thing I've said on this channel. Hey, Nick from 9Car TCG, and today we're going to be looking at an Iron Hands EX deck list. It's Iron Hands plus Chien-Pao, which is a pretty potent combination. We're going to talk about the deck list, how it wants to work, all that kind of stuff. But before we do, if you haven't already, do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. Tells YouTube this is a good channel, and other people should watch it. I have a goal of reaching 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and you can help me reach that goal by just hitting the subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds, it's free, and if we hit that goal, we have a very cool giveaway happening at the end of the year, so you don't want to miss that. Now, with all that said, let's go ahead and just get straight to the video. Chien-Pao is a deck that I personally really like, and it's a cool Pokemon. It's really grown on me after playing the video game. Chien-Pao is honestly one of my top Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet from Gen 9 as a whole. Look at it, it's adorable. 220 health, it's a basic Pokemon EX, so it gives up 2 prizes. It has a really good ability, Shivery Chill. Once they return, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, search your deck for up to 2 basic water energies and put them into your hand. And then we have the attack Hail Blade for 2 waters. Hail Blade does 60 damage times the number of water energies we discard from all of our Pokemon. So we use Chien-Pao, and if we have more than one Chien-Pao in play, we can move one. If we have one in the active, for example, we have Chien-Pao A in the active, we use Shivery Chill, get 2 water energies. Then we switch into a second Chien-Pao, Chien-Pao B, use Shivery Chill again, and then we get 2 more water energies. Now we have 4 water energies in our hand. What do we do with all those energies in the hand? We have Baxcalibur with the Super Cold ability. As often as you like, you may attach a water energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. So now, it doesn't specify basic, evolution, water, whatever. We can just take a water energy, basic water energy from our hand, and attach it to any one of our Pokemon. Well, that's really good because Chien-Pao's attack says that we do damage for each energy we discard, each one energy we discard from all of our Pokemon. So now we start putting energies all over the place, and now Chien-Pao can do really, really big damage with Hail Blade. We have a copy of Arceus V and V-Star. Really, we're just using this for the Star Birth for a little bit of consistency. Start your deck for any 2 cards you want. Is a very powerful ability. So we can go ahead and find missing pieces of our combo so that we can get Baxcalibur and Chien-Pao in the active, or going as fast as possible. It's also really good later in the game. Our opponent Ionos us down to 1, and we're like, alright, well, I need to hit a boss's orders to win the game, or I need superior energy retrieval to win the game. I can just go ahead and find it with Arceus, but before we even do that, we have something like Bibarel, which says we get once during our turn, we can draw until we have 5 cards in the hand. So we discard a lot of our hand with superior energy retrieval, Ultra Ball, what have you. Now we have no cards left in hand, or we Iono ourselves down to 1 or 2 cards, and we can use Industrious Insides to refill our hand. And if we don't find what we want, again, we have that Star Birth as an option. We also have Radiant Greninja's concealed cards for extra draw power. We can discard an energy card from our hand to draw 2 cards, which is really cool. But we also have Moonlight Shuriken. This is an attack that is very, very accessible because of Baxcalibur. 2 waters and a colorless. Moonlight Shuriken says discard 2 energies from this Pokemon, and now we can go ahead and deal 90 damage to 2 of our opponent's Pokemon. So this is really cool. If our opponent has like 2 Comfeys in play, a Sableye and a Comfey, they have 2 Charmanders, whatever, 2 Pokemon, 2 Curlias, 2 things that have 90 HP or less, or a Pokemon that we are trying to finish off because we did some damage to it with Chien-Pao, but we couldn't quite get the KO, so it runs to the bench. Or a Pokemon that we want to soften up, so in the next turn we can take the KO with the Chien-Pao. So we can utilize that Radiant Greninja in a lot of different ways. If our opponent has Manaphy in play, because everyone's like, Nick, Manaphy's the thing, we have Manaphy to deal with. We have this Cancel and Cologne until the end of our turn. Our opponent's active Pokemon has no abilities. So Manaphy, with its Wave Fail ability, says that it can't you can't damage your opponent's bench Pokemon, right? You can't deal damage to your opponent's bench Pokemon. So we just say, okay, fine, I'm going to use Boss's Orders to pull my opponent's Manaphy into the active, and then Cancel and Cologne. We can go ahead and find both of those cards with Star Birth. Boom. Boss's Orders, Cancel and Cologne, Radiant Greninja, goodbye, Manaphy, and 90 damage to something else. And now we can continuously attack the bench because Manaphy's out of play. Or we could just say, I did what I needed to do. I did my sniping. I don't care if Manaphy's in play anymore. I can leave that trapped in the active or force them to find a way to retreat the Manaphy. And there you go. What else we got here? Of course, we have the Iron Hands, which we should talk about. Iron Hands, 230 health electric type Pokemon with a retreat cost of 4. But honestly, we don't really care about that. We have a fighting weakness, Arm Spike for 2 lightnings and a colorless, does 160 damage, so we are able to one-shot any electric weak Pokemon V-Star, V-Max, or even Pokemon EX. So Arm Spike, pretty good. And then we have Extreme Amplifier for a single lightning and 3 colorless energies, which is what makes this fit in this deck. 120 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this attack, you take an additional prize. So, remember that Comfey we just talked about? Well, it only has 70 or 80 HP. Extreme Amplify KOs it. Now, instead of taking 1 prize, you're taking 2. That Sableye that just, spread damage all over, 2 prizes for it. That Lugia V-Star, now we're able to, or Lugia V, we're doing 240 damage. Now we're going ahead and take 3 prizes off of a single Lugia V. Crazy. So now we do 240 damage to a V-Star. And you're like, not exactly enough to get a KO. Well, that's where the Future Booster Energy Capsule comes in. The future Pokemon this is attached to has no retreat cost, so we don't care about it having a retreat cost of 4, because now we have no retreat cost, and our attacks do 20 more damage. So that means that 120 for Extreme Amplify now becomes 140, and that's base 20 increase no matter what we're hitting. V's, EX's, single prize, evolution, doesn't matter. Everything gets hit for 20 more damage. So now Extreme Amplify is doing 140, and you know what has 280 health and lightning weakness? Palkia and Lugia. Pidgeot, all 3 of those. Squawkabilly is going to get one shot by this thing. Luminion's going to get one shot by this thing. And all of those cards are now going to give up 3 prizes. That means for knocking out 1 Luminion, half the game is over. That is absurd. And in a deck like this, where you are running 4 copies of Irida, which lets you get a water Pokemon and an item, you know what's an item? Echoing Horn. Echoing Horn, Cross Switcher. So we can just say, oh, I knocked out Luminion. Okay, well, I'm just going to put it back onto the bench, use Irida to grab an Echoing Horn, and now I'm just going to Cross Switcher and bring it up. And there you go. Or I can, Starbirth for, that second Cross Switcher and an Echoing Horn, so I can play the Echoing Horn, put the Luminion on the bench, and then Cross Switcher because maybe I needed to use the boss, so I needed to use an Irida or something. Doesn't really matter. We can make this work really, really well. We have a couple of copies of Pokestop. Once during our turn, we can look at the top 3 cards of our deck. We put any item cards we find into our hand and discard the others. We also have, that's how we're going to find our stuff between Radiant Greninja, Bibarel, Starbirth, Pokestop, Irida. It is worth noting that the Future Booster Capsule thing is not an item. It is a tool card, which means you don't keep it off of Pokestop because it's not an item, and you can't grab it off of Irida because it's not an item. It is worth mentioning. Path to the Peak can sometimes be annoying. Opposing Future Booster energies can be annoying, so we have Lost Vacuum to get rid of them. We do also have a copy of Lost City if we want to get rid of our opponent's Manaphy for good. We want to get rid of our opponent's Radiant Charizard for good, whatever. Lost City says when a Pokemon is knocked out, it does not go to the discard pile, it goes into the Lost Zone, never to be seen again. It is a Pokemon equivalent of the Shadow Realm. Now, we talked about Baxcalibur, how it accelerates lightning, water energies to our Pokemon, but Iron Hands needs at least 1 lightning energy to use this Extreme Amplifier. How do we find that lightning energy? Well, we have a copy of Earthen Vessel, which is a new card in Paradox Rift. You can only play this card if you discard another card from your hand. Not really a big deal. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards and put them into your hand. Which means I can search for a lightning and a water energy, and now I can use Baxcalibur to accelerate this water energy wherever I want, and then manually attach the lightning energy from hand. Seems pretty good. We have Super Rod to recover energies in Pokemon. We have Superior Energy Retrieval to recover energies specifically. We discard 2 cards from our hand, and we get 4 basic energies from our discard back into our hand. which means we can go ahead and recover lightning energies if we discarded them accidentally or even intentionally earlier in the game, and now we can recover them with Super Rod, Energy Retrieval, whatever, so that we can still attack with Iron Hands. We can do big damage with Chien-Pao, whatever we need to do. We have a couple of copies of Rare Candy to go from Frigibax to Baxcalibur. We skipped the stage 1 entirely. And then we have a bunch of Pokemon Search, a Heavy Ball, 2 copies of Nest Ball, 4 copies of Ultra Ball, and 4 copies of Battle VIP Pass. There's a 50-50 chance we're going to go second, which means we can immediately just Irida to find a Battle VIP Pass and a Water Pokemon. So that's 3 Pokemon immediately guaranteed, not including our active. So pretty decent. And then we have a copy of Iono for just a little bit of early game draw support and late game disruption. That's the entire deck. So how does it function? What do we want to do with this? Well, the answer is obviously use Chien-Pao to take big KOs and then use Iron Hands to take that extra prize to help you win the game. It's that simple. We can very easily use something like Radiant Greninja to take 2 quick prizes on something like a couple of Charmanders, and then our opponent puts down a Lumineon because they have the Iono. Well, now we throw down Iron Hands, bring up the Lumineon, however, Boss, Cross-Stitch, or whatever, and now we take 3 prizes there. That's 5 prizes in 2 attacks, and we only knocked out 1 V. It's really, really annoying. I think it's really solid. I think it's a really strong card. I think Future is way better than Ancient, at least at the moment, based on what we've seen so far. There's really not too much to say. It's really set up. It plays very, very similar to a regular Chien-Pao deck. Build up your Baxcalibur, do big damage with your Chien-Pao, take some easy KOs, and then use Iron Hands to close out a game or get that extra prize card to either... Because what happens? You're knocking out 2 prize Pokemon V, EX, whatever, and you have an even prize trade. So you knock out a Pokemon V, you go down to 4 prizes, you knock down a Pokemon EX, you go down to 2 prizes, and now your opponent's feeding you a 1 prizer. And you're like, ugh, I have to knock out this 1 prizer or boss up another Pokemon V, but if I can't boss or cross switch, I have to knock out this single prize Pokemon, go down to 5 prizes, and then deal with another Pokemon EX. Like, that's kind of annoying. But now Iron Hand says, okay, fine, give me that single prize Pokemon. I'm probably going to knock it out, and now I take 2 prizes anyway, keeping me on a good prize trade, not making me take extra prizes. Because if you can make your opponent take 7 or 8 prizes, as opposed to taking 6, that's even better for you. So like when you're playing like a VMAX deck, what you want to do is force your opponent like into knocking out a Pokemon VMAX and then a Pokemon V-Star and then back to a Pokemon VMAX. Makes them take 8 prizes, not 6. And Iron Hands keeps you on that 6 prize trade, which is really, really good and really annoying. There are other ways we can build Iron Hands. I've seen a couple of Lost Zone decks running around. I've seen Miraidon decks featuring Iron Hands. I just really wanted to highlight this one because it's one I like the most personally, but we will be talking about some other builds of Iron Hands in the future. I just really wanted to get this one out because, like I said, it's my favorite and probably the one that I'm going to end up using myself, assuming that it actually functions the way I want it to, but yeah. So there you have it, Iron Hands Chien-Pao. Let me know in the comments what you think of this deck. Is it going to be as good as Iron Hands? Is it going to be as good as everybody says it's going to be? Or is it just going to be something like Reshizard, where everybody or Rayquaza VMAX, where everybody thought it's going to be incredible, it's going to be game-changing, and it turns out to kind of just flop? I'm going to know from you, so let me know in the comments below what you think of Iron Hands EX and this Iron Hands Chien-Pao deck, but that's going to do it for us today. Again, thanks for watching, and subscribe, like, comment, all that kind of stuff, and I'll see you next time. I want to give a special shout out to the YouTube members Black Wins, Mike the Highest, Fernando Ortiz, Chin Pokemon, and Eric N. Thank you all so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. And if you want to become a channel member, you can go ahead and click the channel member button somewhere at the bottom of the page. I'm not really sure. I haven't done it myself.